Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That is Jack. I am Conrad, and this is the 45 Week 16 review. A lot happened, a lot of drop points, and as we feared, we saw the third postponement of a Premier League match due to COVID-19. Fulham Spurs postponed just 3 or 4 hours before they were scheduled to kick. Everybody saw Jose Mourinho's Instagram post where he was extolling about the greatest football league in the world.
His Instagram is a very fun place because he just he's Jose on his Instagram. He's very himself. It's very nice.
So you had clubs at the top dropping points. Stoppage time winner for Manchester United. Arsenal look like they might be figuring some things out. But ultimately, I think all 20 clubs are very excited to be putting 2020 behind them, as are we sitting here on New Year's Eve. Just thankful to be able to sit here and talk into microphones.
Yes, very much so. It's been an interesting year. A lot happened. A lot of differences. We can only hope that next year is better. And I think considering that how bad 2020 was, it's almost a case of how much worse can it get, and it has to go up from here.
Well, 2021 won't begin all that great, but hopefully it will end much better than
Hopefully.
this year is. We shall see. On to the matches. Palace-Leicester. A great opportunity lost by Leicester here. Liverpool dropping the 2 at St. James's Park. Leicester could have been all alone in second place ahead of United. Instead, they sit third with 29 points, 1 point behind United. No Vardy to start meant Iheanacho took the penalty, saved by Guaita. After the 10 goals shipped in 2 matches, both he and Palace will be very excited with the 1-1 draw, leaving them 15th on 19 points. But they are drifting down the table a little bit, winless in their last 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have. It's baby steps. A good way to end the year. I think if they had ended on a bad loss, which is very possible against the Leicester side, even on a 2-day bounce back, it would have been a very upsetting result for them. And they were able to avoid that. They were able to kind of stem the bleeding in terms of goals conceded, and Guaita was back to his usual very good amount of form. So a lot of positives for Leicester. A point against the current third best team in the league in terms of the table is a very good point considering where you currently are talent-wise. For Leicester, though, even though you rotated a lot, you still would have wanted to get the points here because, as you mentioned, could have been 2 behind Liverpool. Instead, you're 4 behind. And, yeah, a title race is maybe a bit above you right now because you just have Liverpool who are just a tier above them in terms of talent. But ultimately, it's just whoever gets the most points in a season, and this was a great chance for them to get some points. So they'll be quite upset, but at the same time, it's a lot of rotation. Couldn't have Vardy and Iheanacho, who has problems converting chances. I think it's a problem for Leicester that he's not able to score goals at the rate they want him to. So when Vardy isn't able to be at his usual dominant best, they don't have a great alternative. Perez is okay.
Fall off is pretty significant.
Yeah, but they would want him to be converting a bit more because he's got a good all-round game, just can't convert chances. And as a striker, if you're struggling to score, it's a bit of a bad situation.
Well, it just shows you how useful Vardy is to that side. I mean, he makes everything kind of tick offensively for Leicester, just with his pace and ability to break at the drop of a hat.
And his movement as well is very underrated. He's a great poacher.
Yeah. So Palace next up against Sheffield United. Both those clubs are going to be very desperate for the full 3 points there. Leicester will travel away to Newcastle, look to pick up some points and close the gap a little bit on Liverpool. Next up, Chelsea and Villa. Chelsea still struggling with good teams. They were clearly the better side, I think, in this match. Probably disappointed with the draw. That leaves these teams level on points. Villa ahead on goal difference in 5th place. 14 goals, or I think it's just a 1 goal difference separates them, 14 to 13. Chelsea's second goal was ruled out, Pulisic being offside. McGinn nearly had the second for Villa off the bar around the 70th minute, just a few moments after that Pulisic offside. Chelsea, the better performer here, but they can't get it all together at the same time, it feels like.
Yeah, they definitely, in terms of the XG, 1.72 to 0.81, doubled them, and you limited Villa in a lot of ways, which has been a difficult thing for a lot of teams to do. So you were good in that regard, that you did a good enough job to neutralize Jack Grealish. Just couldn't convert your chances, and that's been another big issue for them. Pulisic this time being one of the guys who couldn't bury chances, and the one he did obviously was ruled out for offside. Giroud has been very good for them. As good as he is, though, he's only got 6 months left on his deal. You don't want to be so reliant on him to score those goals in these kind of scrappy matches. So I don't remember if I said that if it was a draw or loss, Lampard should be worried about his job, but they're definitely underperforming right now. They're 7 off of the top, and considering that they could have gained 2 points on the current league leaders, it's a lot of question marks there because they should be competing for the title considering the talent that they have and the ability to play.
The amount of money that they spend.
The chemistry and the gelling is not quite there yet, and I'm not sure what it's going to take. If Lampard has it in him, I'm not sure yet. I know the Chelsea fans will want to see their club legend be able to pull it off, but it remains to be seen if he's got it in him.
So next, Brighton and Arsenal. So the second time only this season that Arsenal manage back-to-back wins. The first time being the opening 2 matches of the season, the 3-0 against Fulham and the 2-1 against West Ham. Since then, a lot of losing and a lot of draws. But the youth really seems to be the thing, right? They've got Saka in the starting lineup, Smith Rowe in the starting lineup, Martinelli all in the starting lineup, making that midfield and the wings a little bit more lively and, allowing Xhaka to do what Xhaka does rather than having to also push the ball up and create. But Lacazette coming on for Martinelli, oddly enough, and immediate 20 seconds later, immediate impact. You've got to feel good about that if you're an Arsenal supporter. Brighton, meanwhile, unable to do much with the chances they had in the second half. They're dropping now to 17th on 13 points, or just kind of been floating around that 16-17 zone. But they're only now 2 points clear of Fulham, who have the game in hand by virtue of the guarantee against Spurs. Yeah. So it's not there's no guarantee there, but there's no guarantees of anything in this 2020 Premier League season.
Exactly. I think that this is a huge deal for Arsenal because they just weren't beating the likes of Brighton when they were in their very barren stretch. So
that was terrible.
Yes, you should be winning against the likes of Brighton, but I think you need to celebrate the baby steps you're making. And you mentioned it at the beginning of the year, there was so much optimism around this team because they were coming off of the FA Cup win, the Community Shield win.
Table, 6 points.
Two matches. One, they were saying, well, if the league gets canceled now because of COVID, we're going to win the title. But obviously things really deteriorated from there. We knew that was not quite their level. They were still a bit above that. So they've made a bit of a return to where they should be, and I think that's a very big positive for them.
They've had tough matches, right? Yeah. They beat Sheffield United. They lost to City. They lost to Leicester. They beat United, so that was good. Then they got beat by Villa, draw to Leeds.
They had the occasional good result mixed with the occasional just they couldn't score goals. And they were finally able to bury a chance. Lacazette, a tiny bit of increase in form for him is a big deal because Aubameyang isn't firing. He wasn't firing. You can't rely on Martinelli or Saka to be your goal scorers. Smith Rowe. They're young guys. You don't want to be looking to them for your goals all the time. And they defended pretty well. Leno had a good game, and they kept a clean sheet and scored a goal. And when you do that, you win most of your matches.
You're going to be much better off.
Exactly.
Much happier. Next up, United and Wolves. Man United dominant throughout this match. I think unfortunate for them to not having gotten a goal until the stoppage time winner from Rashford with the assist from none other than
Bruno Fernandes.
Every time. Romain Saiss really the lone bright spot for this Wolves side. He scored in the previous match for Wolves, had a couple of chances here, unable to convert. United end up moving up to second place, 3 behind Liverpool. Wolves are drifting, again, a little bit down to 12th on 21 points. This sets up a potential, if United win their game in hand, going into their match against Liverpool on the 17th, assuming everybody wins, that's a crazy assumption given the way this season has gone thus far, there would be a title tilt for those two clubs. They'd be level on points if they win out.
I think United need to pump the brakes because what we saw for the first 92 minutes was Manchester United. That was a bit shaky at the back. You're not sure if they're going to concede a goal. Can't break down teams that are a bit organized defensively. And you relied on individual brilliance, which came in the form of Marcus Rashford after he finally stepped up because he recognized that, I believe it was Nuri who had a bit of a knock, and he kind of drove at him, got onto the left foot, and then got a very fortunate deflection off of Romain Saiss. So let's not kid ourselves when we say that United are in the title race. They're only in the title race by virtue of the points that they've won. In terms of talent,
and everybody else dropping points.
They're not there.
It's like people are dropping points left and right.
Well, United need a defensive midfielder, a center back, and a proper right winger. If they make those 3 signings, make them soon, a lot of money, if they make that big investment, they are title contenders. If not, they don't have it in them. Simple as that, because this performance does not show me that United are in the race. You could say, oh, they scraped the points, but they relied on a very fluky goal to win the match. Fernandez got the assist, yes, but it was not a case of him creating a brilliant chance.
That was a long ball.
It was him just lofting a long one forward and being direct. Compare that to Liverpool, though, in their match against Newcastle. We'll talk about that in a second as well. They weren't able to break them down. They weren't able to get the points. So you could say, well, there's a big difference there, 2 points gained on them, but unless things change drastically going into that match at Anfield on the 17th, I really see Liverpool as heavy favorites in that one, especially with Thiago back. So for United to genuinely be title contenders, if their owners are actually serious about supporting Ole,
is Woodward going to get $200 million to Ole?
If they are genuine about this, if they really want to actually
that's what it's going to cost for that kind of, maybe more.
If you go outside of Declan Rice,
James Sancho's in that mix, it's $400 million.
Sancho, David Alaba, Declan Rice. Sign those three guys.
$350 million.
And you got the next 2-3 years your title contenders easily.
That's a ton of money.
For Wolves, though, I think that this is a good performance. Away at United, you held strong defensively, allowed a lot of chances, but you held strong.
4.46 XG.
You don't have Jimenez. You can't blame them for not having that because Jimenez.
But they got to solve for that. They're way too reliant on individual talent, right?
But the thing,
we criticize United for that. Wolves are subject to the same problem,
and that is very true. But they don't have the same resources that United do.
No, that's true.
The issue is, though, Jimenez is so important in their build-up play and their ability to find a guy in the box. There's so many times where they'd have the ball with either of the fullbacks, Semedo, Ait-Nouri, or Traore. Look into the box, there's no one there because they don't have a proper striker who can bury those chances. When Jimenez is back, which we don't really know when that's going to be, it's probably months away, then he'll obviously be a big lift for them. But I think that currently they're in an okay spot. And I think going into the new year, they'll be comfortable with the ability to push forward.
They might need $40 million in the window to get another guy that can score.
For United, though, they could not be happier with where they are at right now, considering that they were out of the Champions League, so many different things. To be even into this title discussion, although you don't have the talent to be in one yet, I think it's important for them.
Well, next up for Wolves, they've got the Villa match on January 1st, which will be interesting.
Yeah, that should be good.
And then Wolves have Brighton. They, in theory, should be able to. It's an away match for them, but they should be able to get those points. But we shall see. And then last up for us this week, Newcastle and Liverpool. More drop points by leaders Liverpool gives United a shot at drawing level. We talked about that with that game in hand. But Newcastle, certainly the happier of the two sides with the draw, thanks in large part to Carl Darlow. He was just spectacular.
Yeah. But
at the same time, Salah, so wasteful in a very wasteful Liverpool side. A lot of opportunities missed, just off the frame, not even on target. But I think Newcastle definitely happier, but they do sit 14th on 19 points, just ahead of Palace on goal difference alone.
Yeah, Liverpool are the best side in this league. Only reason there's another discussion about United as title contenders is that they have 6 draws. No other side in the league has more of those. They need to start avoiding these kinds of matches where they just...
This looks like Liverpool for 3 or 4 years ago.
It does seem a lot like that. And the issue was Salah could not bury chances. Mane wasn't being able to bury chances. Their midfield was undirect. Their fullback didn't create a chance from open play for the first time in what feels like months, years even. This was just a bad day at the office for everybody. The only positive, Thiago back, and he is an electrically talented player. He is a different level. He's played about 15, 20 minutes in that game, and he was by far the best player on the field because of his ability to stretch Newcastle out. The movement he offered his teammates just made them a different level
and what he does with a football is unbelievable.
He makes his mistakes, obviously, and I think he's there are downsides to his game. Obviously, he's not perfect, but he's coming to the Premier League and into the new year. You have, I think, probably it goes Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne, and then him as the top 3 midfielders in the league. And to get that kind of talent, fresh, not quite fresh, but
it's like a signing in January.
It's practically a January signing. So if he's able to stay fit, has been an issue in his career, but if he's able to avoid horror tackles from the likes of Richarlison, then he's a big deal for them. Newcastle, I think, are very fortunate in the sense that Salah just could not bury a chance. They could not get the ball across the goal line. So it was an okay performance in the sense that they were able to stand tall and they were able to threaten them on the break. And I think that they'll take some positives from it. A point against the champions is always a big deal. They had struggled against champions before. So I think this is a decent result for Newcastle. For Liverpool, though, you're just glad the 2020 is over in the sense that you've had a bad couple of weeks, draws to Brighton, Fulham, You have this one against Newcastle as well. So if you don't want to entertain a title discussion with them and Man United, stop dropping points to the bottom six.
West Brom
West Brom as well. That was the fourth team I was forgetting. But look at that. Fulham, West Brom, and Newcastle all draws in the last 5 games.
Around the win over Spurs and Palace, the 7-0.
Individually, one-on-one, they can beat anybody in the world. But the issue is they need to stop making those dumb draws because that's what cost them the title against Man City. And it's what is going to cost them a title this year if they cannot stamp it out.
Yeah, that's a lot of drop points.
Mention what United needs to do to sign some players. Liverpool, same thing. If you sign David Alaba, you're good. There's Shures, I believe, at Ajax. There's Upamecano, Garay on a free agent. There's so many options you have at center back. Sign a center back so you don't have to rely on the likes of Phillips and Williams. They're good players at center back, but they're both young. And ultimately, you need some better options there.
Newcastle, couple extra rest days here. They don't play again until Sunday against Leicester at home. And then Liverpool, an extra day above and beyond that. They don't play until Monday against Southampton. So both opportunities for these clubs to continue to improve. But I agree. They've just got to head into the new year and forget about 2020, except for the title that they won. They will remember that one forever. That will do it for us for our look back at Week 16. We will be back with some look at Week 17 at some point.
In the new year.
Happy New Year to everybody. I hope everything goes well. Be careful out there, as we always say. Please do like. Let us know what you think in the comments. Please do subscribe. Look for us on the 45 on the Twitter at the 45. Take care now.